Welcome to the BOSCHCAST with James Boschman and Denise Young, where we talk about Manitoba real estate and everything else that's on our minds.
And we're live. What's going on, everyone? It's James.
And Denise.
And thanks for checking out episode 19 of the BOSCHCAST. There's a lot to talk about today. It's almost Christmas time. We got a few more days until Santa comes down the chimney, and New Year's fast approaching, 2024. And we really wanted to do an episode kind of dedicated to a year in review. It was a very crazy year, both in real estate and personal stuff and business. And I think it would be a good idea for us to kind of take a look back at everything that happened in 2023 in regards to the market, and then make some predictions for 2024. We can maybe provide some advice to potential buyers or sellers that are thinking about buying or selling in 2024. And then we'll, like we always do, we'll end it with giving some flowers to some local businesses that that have treated us well in the last little while. And but first, before we begin, I've got some dad jokes. I've got some Christmas dad jokes that I'd like to fire off. So first one is, what's the best possible Christmas present?
I don't know what.
A broken drum. You just can't beat it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, these are pretty bad. This one's my favorite. I walked into a toy store to do some early Christmas shopping, and I asked the assistant, "Where are the Schwarzenegger dolls?" He said, "I'll be back."
Oh, jeez.
Like, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I got a couple more. Who tells the best Christmas jokes?
Who?
Reindeer. They slay every time. And I got one more. What does Santa suffer from if he gets stuck in a chimney?
What?
Claustrophobia. I guess it's claustrophobia, not Klaus. It's not Santa Claus. He's German. Maybe if he was Schwarzenegger Santa. Yeah, so that ends my terrible Christmas dad jokes. It's quite fitting.
Yeah. I'll have to try to remember a couple of those.
Yeah. So yeah, do you have any big Christmas plans coming up?
Yeah. They're kind of spread out, but yeah, we have stuff almost every day for the next week.
Yeah.
Starting tonight.
Yeah.
I'm starting off with a very relaxing night because tonight I'm taking my niece to Thermia for the winter solstice.
Ooh, so nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have like kind of a bit of a spread out Christmas to different family members and stuff. My mom wants to do like a brunch for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time cooking for, like, we had a Friendsmas thing. Usually we try to do like a Friendsmas or Friendsgiving thing every year.
Yeah.
And this year we did Friendsmas at our place, and like, Tara like cooked for so long. It's like, swear to God, like 2 days of cooking.
Yeah.
And then she's going to be helping her mom cook on Christmas Day at her parents. So between all that, just can't imagine her prepping and keeping the house clean and like having all these people over. So my mom wants to go for brunch, and so we're gonna check out Over Easy Breakfast in like OEB. It's in that new building or newish building on Main by the Earls.
I heard it was good. My cousin just was talking about it.
Yeah, we went to one Tara and I went to Saskatoon last summer, and we ended up checking one out there. I guess it's like a franchise, but it was excellent. So I'm really looking. It's been a while since I've been out somewhere for breakfast or like brunch. So yeah, I'm gonna demo some eggs and sausage.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then and then it's been pretty busy for me the last week, like getting a lot of Hail Mary offers on stuff, and
Awesome.
a lot of it is like low balls. I think people are throwing Hail Marys, like trying to get, see what they can get away with kind of thing.
Sure.
But, an offer is an offer, and it's on some inventory that's been sitting. So the gaps have been pretty tough to close, but, we closed one last night, and
Awesome.
I'm surprised actually that we were able to do it, but I'm just waiting for the paperwork. So I don't like to count the chickens before they hatch. So
Sure.
wait for the signatures to come in, and then then I can celebrate.
Yeah. It seems like the majority of the big gaps that have been accepted are on a lot higher prices. Like I was going through, just the December solds, and like almost, there was a couple in, like, I'll say a regular price range, but the majority were well over 700,000.
Yeah.
And into $1 million. Yeah.
And you're seeing more like higher spreads or
higher spreads in that one, in those categories, but in the lower categories, it's still like, under $30,000 spreads, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd say 15 is probably the median.
Yeah.
And lower. I saw lots that were like, 3,000 under, but still like, they're saying list to price ratio is 98.1%.
It's still tight.
Yeah. And when you look at all the solds, there's still lots going well above asking too.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's a lot of the, it depends on price point. It depends on area. The houses that are priced well, show well, they're still getting showings. They're still getting offers. I think the mild temperatures really help with that. Like if it was blizzarding outside and -40, this is probably one of the most mild winters I can remember for a long time.
For a very long time. Yeah.
It feels like spring outside, and it's. I'm not complaining, but I think that is attributing to just a little bit more activity in the market, and combined with like some of the sentiment, which we'll talk about with interest rates and bond yields and stuff like that. But if what I'm seeing is like, if a house is priced well, shows well, inventory's low, so things are still selling. And
there's still buyers out there that need to move. So
I listed a house in Norwood Flats, and I was like, kind of one of those things where it's like, I wanted to price it a certain place. The sellers wanted price it a little bit higher. And it was like, okay, well, what do we have to lose? It's going to be offers as received anyways. Let's go with your number. And so we went with their number. We listed it, and I was a little bit apprehensive at first, but I was also like, you know what? You guys aren't in a hurry. You're flexible with showings. Let's see what we can do. It is Norwood Flats at the end of the day. House need a little bit of work, solid, good bones, but need some updates. And we had like 8 showings on the first day.
Wow.
And got an offer on day one. And the realtor who wrote the offer, he was shopping with his daughter. So because of the regulations now, like if you are representing a family member like that, you can still help them buy a house, but you can't collect a commission. So it was essentially a full price offer, because he wrote full price, or he took the list price, subtracted his commission, and that's what they wrote.
Oh yeah.
And was so on the system, it shows that it sold for less, but there is a story behind that, and ended up shaking out to be list price at the end of the day. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, but there was no other active inventory, and the stuff that was listed in the same area, you can just look at it on the surface, like looking at the listings on MLS. They were totally different, way older, houses, and or it was like stuff over 500,000.
Yeah.
So we hit the mark like right on the money, I think. And yeah, they're super happy. They got a later possession too, which is kind of what they wanted. So gives them time to shop.
Yeah.
And talking to them about like preparing now for 2024 and, some of the expectations, which we'll obviously touch on and, coming up here.
Sure.
But maybe let's move on to a year in review for 2023 and then what's to come, what our predictions or what we're thinking is going to happen. And I think it's important, obviously it's important as a real estate podcast to talk about what happened in the market in 2023. But I think it's also important, like we're human beings at the end of the day. A lot happened in our businesses, but also in our personal lives as well. And so maybe let's talk about that. Maybe let's talk about like 2023 wasn't just a big year for real estate, but it was a big year for us and our businesses and our lives. So maybe let's talk about that.
Sure. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess I can go first. So for business, we moved our business over to Real Broker, and I would say like I'm the happiest I've been. I feel like I am settled in, no more moving brokerages.
These feel like our people.
Yeah, and it's such an amazing like group of agents, and everybody is so friendly and professional. So from the culture side of things, it's like the best move, hands down, the best people, as realtors, but also just as like human beings. And I mean, you've definitely seen that firsthand. Like you give so much to like Christmas cheer board and stuff like that. And I mean, you did like a huge hamper run, like the biggest in history probably so far. And it's because of Allie.
Yeah. Allie was a huge. But lots of other realtors were involved in it too. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Real is reaching out and changing the culture around us too, because like, it inspired other brokerages to do similar things. And, and or some of the other brokerages helped us do 71 hampers, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, well, we're in the midst of other things happening right now. So let us collect and give to you and you can do it. And that was awesome. Right.
Yeah. I think that when you have an amazing company, amazing leadership, and like core values that, human beings can resonate with, and then you have the culture, the people that are there to support you. And when you have a company of like-minded people, this is really a brokerage, a company that is built by some of the most amazing people in the industry for realtors. It's like truly realtors for realtors, and there's so much collaboration. I use this term a lot, but it's like drinking from a fire hose, the amount of collaboration there is. There's just so much. It's like, from like the meetups, the events, and it's only going to get way better and like way crazier.
Yes.
So like, just from the Real Broker perspective in Manitoba, I mean, the trajectory, the amount of agents that have decided to move their businesses over to this amazing platform just in 2023, like the growth from May has been like a rocket ship, and it's so, it's just so cool. Like the caliber of people just that you surround yourself with. Like, just imagine, so like you and I have been in business for a while. Imagine like a place where you take the best people from every brokerage that you've ever had an interaction with or dealt with on a deal or otherwise, and now they're all part of the same company. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I get to rub shoulders with all these amazing people.
And they don't make you feel like you don't belong at the cool table.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's on a level playing field.
Yeah.
It's like, you can sit at a table with $1 million a year producer and, feel like there's no competition. There's no Shark Tank environment. It's just everybody's literally there just to collaborate, share their entire
how to
playbook,
do what they do, and asking you how you do what you do, and all that stuff.
And I'm so excited that Wes Douse and his team decided to make the move over to Real, because he is an amazing business owner and just a great guy. And he kind of spearheaded a team leader mastermind group. And we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was great. And just digging into each other's businesses and truly just like building each other up and like helping each other. And then he called me the other day and was like following up with me and asking me how the year end is going and stuff. And I'm just like, when do you get that at another brokerage, from another competing realtor,
Right. He gets nothing out of doing this other than more collaboration.
Right? That's the culture. And it's, we're all incentivized to kind of give back. And that's what's been great. So joining Real Broker from like a business side, year in review, amazing. Can't say enough good things about it. Just from the technology side of things too, like I think it's made my business more streamlined. The brokers are amazing. The conveyancing is amazing. The technology, it's like, I feel like an agent on autopilot. It's easy to use, constantly evolving. So that's been great. And then I guess like business wise too, obviously the team grew. So we added 3 new members to the team, Jennifer Bayless, Joshin Bath, and Rhett, my cousin, Rhett Boschman, Boschy Jr. And that's been great. So I'm excited to see their trajectory in their businesses. And, I think they're going to be great. And I look forward to kind of working with everybody collectively in 2024. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm trying to build like a little mini amazing culture within this, amazing brokerage. And then personally, 2023 for me has been a big year for personal growth. I started really getting back into the gym. And so like my health and fitness goals, I feel like I'm on track and I feel amazing. Recently, like switched up some of my diet stuff, and that's been really helpful. But I feel like previously, I would say like COVID did a real turnaround for me, like real number, and kind of put a lot of things into perspective. Had some health scares and stuff like that. And, I kind of felt like I had lost myself, and I felt like my only identity had become this like realtor, and I needed to like find myself again. And a big part of my past, like before real estate, was music. Played in a band, and while I don't necessarily want to play music, I've found the scene again, the music scene. And then 2023 was an explosive year for bands touring again, and shows and everything else. So I've been literally going to every show. I am the biggest hardcore metal head, and I've always been since I was like a kid. And I kind of fell off, focused too much on work, and work was everything for me, and it still is, but it doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels like, I'm having fun, and I'm focusing on doing the things that I want to do with work, and then enjoying life, going to shows. And it's been awesome because, I'll shout out Rhett. Rhett is like 21 years old. I'm 33, and he's my cousin, my first cousin. And we didn't spend a lot of time together as kids because of our age gap,
Right.
and, but now that he's living in the city, he's in real estate, found out he's also into metal with no pre-context or influence for me whatsoever. And we just kind of hit it off. And I feel like I've been like breaking his brain in a way. I've been dragging him out to shows, and he's been like loving it. And it's been great, like having a cousin. Honestly, feels like a brother now to me.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
so, yeah, finding myself again through music. And then, just enjoying life. And I look forward to traveling more and doing all that kind of stuff too. So on a personal level, I feel like I'm kind of coming back into myself again,
That's good.
And
it's important to have stuff other than work.
Yeah. And not being like, feeling like I'm ashamed. I don't think I was ever really ashamed. I just felt like,
it didn't fit the professional persona.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But screw it. I mean, I want to work with people who, like, I want to be a real human being, and I want to work with people who respect that. And, I don't want to dim my light for people. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to let my freak flag fly from here on out.
There you go.
So, what about you, Denise?
Well, my 2023 goals, one of them was to hike 200 kilometers, and we did that. We reached that the beginning of December. And I know it doesn't sound like a huge amount of kilometers, but to have the time to go and be on a trail and do, like, we're not talking we just walked 200 kilometers. We're talking like hiking trails. So it takes a little time to, get to them, because there's no like great hiking trails in Niverville. To have the time to spend together to do that is part of it. And then the other part of it is to actually do it. And it was so much fun to do. We did 30 kilometers in 1 week when we went to Alberta.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Those were amazing hikes. But then some of our favorite ones here were actually several of the ones that you had recommended to me, and Cabin Lake I did on my 50th birthday.
Nice.
And we absolutely loved that hike. And we were talking about doing it this winter, because I think it would be fun to do in the winter as well.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's that's like our fun goal for the year.
Cool.
But other goals for the year, like one of my friends had said to me right around this time last year, she had lost her dad in the month before Christmas. And she said, after having lost him to her, she really wanted to make sure that she spent a lot more time with the people important to her.
Mm-hmm.
And after reflecting on that, like 2020 kind of like ruined our social lives.
Yeah.
and it was hard to get back to having a social life, right? Like I still feel like I don't do nearly as much as I did pre-2020. But I think that also, I think we've done a better job, like, after her saying that to me, we've done a better job of being mindful of who we're spending our time with.
Yeah.
And and like trying like a lot harder to see those people. And I mean, yeah, there's still some people I don't see as often as I'd like. We're all very busy,
Yeah.
but I do find like when we do spend time together, we're more present
Yeah.
and do a better job of actually being together and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, that was something I feel like I've done a better job at and still need to do better. We had made a goal as a family to try to do brunch once a month, and I think we did it 3 times. But I'm like, well, that's 3 times more than we did last year.
Yeah.
And same with this podcast. We were supposed to do it weekly, and we're only on 19. But you know what? We got 19 done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole runway of 2024 podcasts to do. So
yeah, exactly. We'll get there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome though. Yeah, like the spending time with people. I feel like you're right. Like pre-COVID, I felt like I was in the friend collection business where I was just like friends with everybody, and then like COVID hit, and then it really put things into perspective, and you kind of like lose some relationships and you gain some relationships, but this year it's been like more about deepening the important friendships and relationships.
Yeah.
And you know, and not so much about, you know, spreading yourself too thin. You know, you can't be, the reality is you just can't be best buddies with everybody, you know.
Exactly.
You know? So you can have great acquaintances, but I think, yeah, for us, expectations definitely changed, and like, you know, spending time deepening relationships with the ones that we really, really care about, and the ones who, you know, are going to like be there for you and have your back kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's great. Cool. So you want to talk about the real estate side of things now?
Yes.
Fun stuff.
Yes.
So 2023, turbulent is a word that I could use to describe.
That's a good word to describe 2023.
Yeah. I always imagine like, okay, so Tiff Macklem, the governor, Bank of Canada, talks about trying to land the plane, right? So if you think about our market as a plane, the plane has been like, you know, 2022, it's been like, you know, what do you call it? Ascending. It's been, you know, flying straight up, just like boom, blasting off like a rocket.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then it, you know, it kind of peaked, and as the interest rates started going up, I mean, I can't even count on 2 hands the amount of interest rate hikes that we had in between 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
You know, which every time there was a rate hike, it's just like the plane is like shaking. And then, you know, the wheels are starting to fall off, and they're like, oh shit, like how are we going to land this freaking thing now?
Right.
And I mean, from a macro perspective, there are so many like external factors that contribute to inflation and the reasons why the Bank of Canada had to do what they do. But at the end of the day, you can, you know, say whatever you want, but it's the policy decisions, the pandemic response from our government and from the Bank of Canada that caused the shit show that we were in.
Right.
And now their mandate is to kill inflation, get it back down to its 2% target. And, you know, that's what they've been trying to do with all these rate hikes. So we saw in the beginning of 2023, kind of a continuation of 2022. A lot of people that were still, like, if you imagine like a cup of coffee or like an espresso, and you have the froth that's bubbling over.
Yeah.
The froth was like a lot of those buyers that were hanging on from the 2022 market that hadn't bought something, and they were trying to beat the looming rate hikes that were coming. They didn't know what was going to happen. And so we still saw a tremendous amount of bidding wars and houses selling for considerably over asking price. And extremely low inventory because there's so much like negative sentiment in the market, and people trying to find their pocket, trying to find their house, and then they have a house to sell, and it's like, well, if we don't buy that house, then we're not going to sell.
Yeah.
But then they'd be caught up in a bidding war, and you can't write a subject to the sale in a bidding war, and it was just like a lot of just crazy turbulence, very, very hard to plan for purchasing or selling when, you don't know what's coming.
Right.
Uncertainty is another word that you can use. Just a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was incredibly challenging.
Yeah, it was
for many buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my kind of take on it.
Yeah.
Things were still selling. I felt like expectations in 2023, that was a huge factor because you had a lot of people that didn't really understand what was happening in the local market. They just knew that, in the fall of 2022 or in the spring of 2023, their neighbor's house had sold and they had a $100K over list price offer that they accepted, and they had 20 offers on the table.
Right.
And the expectation was they wanted the same thing.
Right.
But this year, I have never had to like try to educate sellers and buyers as much as I've ever had. And I was joking with like, builder the other day. It was like, 2021, 2022, I felt like I had to be a freaking expert in the lumber market because material prices were skyrocketing, and like, every week the lumber prices are going up, and, prices are changing all the time. So I was like literally watching lumber price reports. Like I subscribed to a YouTube channel where there was an economist talking about just lumber.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a lumber expert now, I guess,
Yeah.
Like I know what all the sawmills are doing. I know which sawmills are closing. I know when the freaking trains are going to be coming in. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But this year has been like interest rate expert, market expert,
yeah.
And I feel like for the clients that we've had the privilege and opportunity to help in 2023, having that market knowledge, has actually helped us to help our clients navigate. Like I feel like we did a pretty good job, all things considering. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts on 2023?
Well, I think that when we hear the next announcement, we're going to hear that that's what, January 24th, I believe. Mm-hmm. We're going to probably hear that it's going to start to come down, and then shit's going to hit the fan again. Right. Yeah. It might not happen that quickly, but yeah, I think we're going to see a seller's market again. And we're probably going to have some challenges getting people into houses again. Because it's going to be a lot of bidding wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that that'll be great for selling spec homes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Move some inventory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great for moving the inventory, but it'll be hard again for, those buyers. And
for people that have to buy and sell, especially because it's always that tough choice. Do I remove the condition to sell my house so that I can get a house and then hope that my house sells as fast as all the others? Yeah.
I'm going to give my, so another thing that I noticed in 2023, I would say it was very anecdotal or tangible for me, in my business, because I sell a lot of new homes.
Yeah.
Most of the new homes, if not all, are in the bedroom communities surrounding Winnipeg, within like 20 to 40 minutes outside of the city. And bedroom communities like Oakbank and Dugald and Niverville and, Grand Point and St. Francis and, whatever. And 2022, a purchaser or a family was just super excited to get a house, but they couldn't buy anything in the city.
Yeah.
So they so they like expanded their search further and further outside of the city. The work from home movement was a huge thing. So it was like, as long as I got internet, James, I'm freaking good to go.
Yeah.
And we saw a huge like expansion outside of the city. People just wanting to get the hell out of the city.
Yeah.
And with the rising costs and everything, you know, people anticipating paying less property taxes, getting more bang for their buck, all that kind of stuff. You know, and that was the case. Like, people could actually get a really great home. But then as rates started to increase, we saw a contraction back to the city. And some of those feeder communities and the bedroom communities, the market started to contract as well, not seeing as many buyers. But I think where we are going is, I think the word that I'm going to use for, or two words that I'm going to use for 2024 is momentum and height.
Okay.
The reason why I say momentum is the Bank of Canada, it's looking more and more the same as the Fed in the States, that they are actually going to be able to land this freaking thing.
Yeah.
Now, we're at the last 1%. And in terms of their inflation target, we're sitting at 3.1%. The inflation data that came out from, I think it was November, like just the recent data that came out was taken from November, proved that inflation is a lot stickier, and it's not like there's service cost and housing inflation and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, there's a lot of interest rate inflation that is contributing to the stickiness of that number, that 3.1% number. Tiff Macklem wants to get it down to 2%. That's their mandate. Yeah. The Fed is on the same target. But the Fed came out recently after they announced their pause, and it was like one of the most dovish pivots in their rhetoric to date. And Jerome Powell, the Fed, the chair, he came out and publicly said, we are anticipating three rate cuts in 2024.
Yeah.
Now, the market took that as there's going to be 6 cuts, because if you're saying 3, there's a lot more turbulence going on. You're going to need to start cutting a lot faster. Now, I think Tiff Macklem has, he's taking a wait and see approach now, where we are piggybacking so much on what the Fed does, what the States does. I think that they're going to cut a lot sooner than anticipated, which is going to force Canada to do the same. And I think the reason why we're going to have to cut, despite, you know, an increase in activity in the housing market and all that kind of stuff, is if the States cuts before us, then we are exporting inflation. If we cut before the States, then we're importing inflation, you know, and that is worse for our economy than, you know, an increase in demand in the housing market. The other thing that's coming is servicing debt. Like, you know, the reality is it may not have an impact in our market here so much as it will in some of the other interest rate sensitive markets like Toronto, Vancouver. I would even argue like Calgary and in other parts of Alberta, where your average sale prices are ridiculous. And obviously your mortgage amounts are a lot higher.
Right.
Those people, when they come out for renewal, they're going to be feeling pain like never before. And that's where you may see a lot of turbulence. Banks don't want that. Banks have already started, you know, loan loss provisioning, meaning they're trying to pre-calculate how many loans are going to go bad, how many mortgages are going to go bad. And they're starting to shift their internal policies, lending policies, you know, making it more difficult for people to borrow, all that kind of stuff. So despite where the interest rates are, the banks have a lot of control. And once the banks start feeling it, that's when, and you have these looming mortgage renewals coming up. I think Tiff Macklem's seeing that he's forced to look at that in the front windshield, so to speak. Whereas before they've always been looking back, you know, they've been data driven, as they call it. And now he's forced to see, holy shit, I've got this huge problem coming up potentially. So we need to figure something out. And I thought like months and months ago that they should have changed their inflation target to 3% instead of being steadfast on 2%. I think they're going to be forced into that because this last 1% is the toughest. Like the plane is, they're trying to land it and the wheels are falling off and the engine's got an engine burnt out and it's like, shit. But now they're trying to find a runway. And I think they're going to have a really hard time with a lot of these pressures that are totally outside of their control. They can control interest rates. They could punish people for spending money, but they can't do anything about what the States does.
Right.
And so I think there's going to be a dovish rate announcement in January. I don't think they're necessarily going to cut because I don't think they will be able to, but I also think they're going to be watching very closely to what the States does. And then I think the next meeting after January, I believe it's in March, I want to say.
Yeah.
So that's a long time. Like there's a lot of stuff that can happen in that period of time. Like there's been already a lot of stuff that's happened from the like previous rate decision to the, the second last one to the most recent one in terms of data. Unemployment has gone way up and, you know.
We're expecting to see more of that.
So I think there's more pain to come. And by the time they get to, I think January is too soon to make a cut. So I think it's going to be a pause. And I think by March, there's going to be cuts. And I think it's going to be significant cuts because they're going to have to. Because if they don't, then the plane is going to be crashed into the side of a mountain. And it's going to be like, they also don't want a recession. We can argue that we are in a technical housing recession right now. The only thing that's keeping us out of keeping the government and Bank of Canada from using that term is our immigration. The immigration numbers, the job have been supplying have been keeping the unemployment down low enough, just low enough.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to dissect the data, we are in a technical recession, but it's not impacting, as I think as much as it could as a recession. But I think that Tiff Macklem, Bank of Canada, has a really tough job coming up. I think they're going to have to change their expectations because they're going to be forced into it. And I think despite there being a pause in January, you're going to see fixed rates continue to come down because the bond market controls fixed rates to an extent.
Right.
The bond market sees the forest through the trees now, and they're like, okay, cuts are coming. Like the next move is cuts. So, people are dumping bonds, and there's been big sell-offs. I think there's going to be another one in January. And like the reality is right now, there are mortgage brokers that can provide a purchaser with a 5-year fixed rate with a 4 in front of it instead of a 5.
Right.
And as long as the sentiment continues to change, where people feel more confident, that's what buyers want. They want confidence. That's what sellers want. They want confidence. People don't trade if there's no confidence. So as long as there's confidence that things are going to get better, then people will transact in real estate. And I think that after the new year, we're going to see a pretty significant pickup in demand. We're not going to have the inventory yet. There's going to be a lag.
Right.
And I think by the time we get to like February, March, we're going to see an influx of inventory. But I think it will be met with the necessary demand. And I agree with you. I think we're going to be in a seller's market. If we were to fast forward to the end of 2024, pending we're not in a war or like aliens don't abduct us or something like that, then we would probably look at our market and be like, wow, that was kind of a flat market.
Yeah.
But compared to, 2023, 2022, 2021. But I think that there's going to be a lot more activity in the market, which I'm excited for. And I think that it's the work that, if you're a buyer and you're sitting on the fence right now and you're like, you know what, 2024 is my year. Alternatively, if you're a seller and you're looking to make that move, because I'll admit the higher rates are keeping people trapped in their houses. They're keeping people from making those decisions.
For
Because
sure.
people are uncertain. They don't have certainty. They don't have confidence. So they're like, well, maybe we're not going to get the best price right now. We heard rates are coming down. So there's all this pent up demand, I think there's way more pent up demand in our local market here than there is in probably most other provinces, because we have a very affordable average sale price. It's a little bit easier for people to buy their first home. It's a little bit easier for people to downsize. Whereas in, the Vancouvers and Torontos, you're just not seeing that. Prices are crazy, but those are also the markets that the Bank of Canada is looking at. In terms of housing data, they're collecting it from those markets. They don't care about Manitoba. So I would say that there's so much more pent-up demand here than probably it might be similar in like Saskatchewan or some of the lower average sale price markets. But I think in our market, we are definitely experiencing. I hear it like so often. People will call and they'll be like, yeah, I'm really interested in building, but I've got a house to sell and I think I might hold off on making the building decision because, what happens if we get into a build and then we're kind of locked into a rate and rates come down, and like what happens if I can't, sell my house and it's not a really great time and I don't have a place to go. There's uncertainty. But, I think that is going to change. You turn on the news, not everybody is like drilled into the market like we are and know what's going on with rates. But even when you turn on the news, like if you're just, you get home from work, you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on in the world. And you turn on local news, like every like CTV, CBC News, they all have their own economists on and they're all talking about like what's happening with inflation. It's such a big story right now.
Right.
And the underlying theme across the board is that in the aggregate, rates are coming down. And you take enough of that sentiment and spread it out through an economy, everybody's going to think that it creates pent-up demand. We're not going to have the inventory. And like, that's just one part of the story. We haven't even talked about the immigration.
Right.
So 2023, builders weren't building at the same rate. Developers weren't providing land to the market because it was too expensive to borrow the money or to put out the money. If you can get 5% in a GIC, like why would you, like you just hold your money and you're like, I'm just going to wait until rates come down and then I'm going to do my development.
Yeah.
But the act of withholding the inventory from the market, it's withholding it from 2024's market, and we're not going to have it. So I think that the builders who have spec homes that are sitting on them, they're going to be sold out.
Yeah.
Because if the demand turns around, I think that bidding wars are going to be back on the map.
Absolutely.
So if you're a buyer, like what's some of the advice that we can give to buyers or sellers right now to prepare for what's to come?
Some of the advice, I would say, obviously talk to your mortgage broker sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, you get approved at one rate, they're still going to give you that lower rate when it comes in, but at least you can start looking at what you need to do. Sometimes the mortgage broker is going to be like, yeah, you can afford this, but if you clean up this, then you're going to be able to afford more. And so that can give you some things to do to clean up. They'll often talk to you about your credit and where that sits, and if you can afford more if you clean that up. And I feel like a lot of people have stuff to clean up right now because there has been so much yeah. Right. So yeah, to talk about that, to get your ducks in a row so that when the time comes to buy, you're ready to buy, and aren't wishing that you had talked to them sooner. So yeah, talking to them about that, calling us and talking to us so that we can start, because you don't know what's going to come up in the next couple months that, might be an excellent deal before the shit hits the fan, right? Like,
and then getting your house prepared now, like
getting the house ready before you start looking.
If selling your house is part of the story, then getting us in now to give you an opinion of value. Of value is, it'll obviously be a range and it'll have to be reassessed as it gets closer to listing it, but like giving you an idea so that you know what you're working with, and then we can give you advice as to what you need to do to get your house ready. Because
where to spend your time, where it's more important to spend your time prioritizing.
Like if you got to paint it, do it now. If you got to clean the carpets, just get it ready. Exactly. And that way we can hit the ground running and start shopping. Talking to the mortgage broker, even like you said, like obviously they're not going to be able to give you next year's rate, but they will be able to help you clean up some of your credit problems or debts or whatever, And if you're set up and you're prepared, you are then ahead of the game, come 2024.
Exactly. So. Some of the common things, the reason why I like to say this is because I'm not saying everyone's not paying their bills. Sometimes we have credit cards that we haven't closed and they could be making us look like we are not great credit risk because you have so much available credit. So you can actually go and close those cards and improve your credit score just by doing that, right? So it's simple things sometimes, but those things do take some time. So to know ahead of time so that you can do that, so that when you're ready to buy, you're ready.
Mm-hmm. That's all really great advice. So I'm just so I'm so curious as to what's going to happen, but I've seen it. Like, I'm a very anecdotal person. I something as simple as phone calls for me. I've noticed just in the last week to 2 weeks, the number of phone calls has picked up crazy. And it's a lot of the same things. It's we are hesitant right now, holidays, all that kind of stuff. So many people, their focus is on family and holidays and stuff right now. But a lot of people are expressing that they want to buy. And so it's a sign of the cracks are showing in the pent-up demand story. And I think that it's going to unleash itself in 2024. And we're not going to have inventory. And and hopefully it happens here, but it doesn't happen in the interest rate sensitive markets, because right. The Bank of Canada, the Bank of Canada's, their idea for keeping rates higher for longer, as they say, is they want to stomp out any sort of pent up demand in the market. Of course, when your average sale price is $1.2 or $1.8 million, you're going to stamp out demand in that market. You're going to stamp out pent up demand. People are probably shivering, please stop, give us a break. We can't afford food. But in our market, it's different. And, still people struggling. So I'm not trying to downplay that, but it's a lot easier for people. And I would argue the last, 3 years, people have had the ability to accumulate a lot of equity as homeowners. Like if you take the cumulative, aggregate average sale price across the board, like despite our markets fluctuating so much in 2023, like from 2019 until now, like average sale price has gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
And so that means there's a lot of equity that people are hanging on to. That's a lot of wealth that people are hanging on to. So people, it, you know, I think the bottom of our market has happened already. And a lot of the investors that are waiting on the sidelines for like a recession, for when there's blood in the streets and they can go and snag a good deal or flip or whatever, that time has come and gone. And I think that, the investors and the flippers that are preying on people, so to speak, the ones who they're thinking there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen at the rate that people expect, because a lot of the people that are getting foreclosed upon, or a lot of people that people think are going to get foreclosed upon, they probably won't, because they would much rather sell off all of their excess stuff. I would rather sell my car before I let the bank take it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I've got a lot of equity that I have in my house since 2019. So, it's just not going to happen to the rate that I think a lot of investors and flippers and stuff are hoping for.
You're right.
But, and that's a good thing. And so all the signs are kind of pointing to I don't know what you want to call it. I don't think it's going to be a soft landing. I think by the time the plane hits the runway, there's not going to be any wheels on it. It might be on fire. People might be dead. But I think that they're going to land it without a significant or impactful recession. We may get a really small little slap recession, call it, but technically, but I don't think it's going to have the impact as, all these crazy job losses and everything.
Right.
And I think that there's still a demand story, and we've got an immigration story that we have yet to see. And obviously a lot of the immigrants that are coming here, they're coming here with some money. They're coming here to invest in real estate. Not to go down the political wagon or anything, but the Conservative Party, they've been campaigning on this. I don't know if it's what you'd call it, but it's like this changing the immigration policy around re-education for professionals in an industry. So if you're an immigrant from the Philippines and you are a doctor or a dentist or a nurse there,
yeah,
if you come here right now, it's incredibly difficult for you to have a similar position.
Right.
You can't just re-enter the workforce. You have to literally go back to school. Yeah. Maybe not from square one, but you have to spend a lot of years in school.
Right.
And so what do those people do in the meantime? Well, they figure it out. And, there's a reason why you see so many immigrants purchasing properties as a family and all living there. They collectively combine their incomes. They buy businesses.
Yeah.
They buy, they're contributing to our economy. They're purchasing real estate, or they're building real estate. And it's because the alternative is, well, I have to go back to school, but I found another avenue where I can pool my collective resources with my family, and I can build wealth through real estate. That happens a lot. And I think it's only going to continue to happen. But I think, what's interesting is the Conservatives' idea, and who knows if it'll come into fruition or not, of creating almost what is it called? A blue seal instead of a red seal.
Oh, okay.
Where an immigrant that had a position or a career in a different country that was prominent can come here, and the barrier to entry would be lowered. They'd still have to educate themselves on our Canadian, whatever. But it wouldn't take as long. and so they could become, they can contribute to our, society. It would sure as heck help with the problem with our hospitals right now.
Yeah, the doctors and nursing shortages.
Like if you could get a nurse, if you can get an immigrant nurse in who's totally qualified, like if you live in the Philippines and you get a cut, and if you live here and you get a cut, or if you have a heart attack here, if you have a heart attack there, like we're all human beings, like we're all the same
stuff.
It's just the little minutia policies and things that you kind of have to like modernize for Canada.
Yeah.
So but if they could re-educate and get into the workforce in a year, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Like it'd be so good for our economy and our country.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of people that are like, oh, well, they'd rather give jobs to the immigrants than Canada's own people. It's like, hey, we all have the same amount of time in a day. Like, what are you doing with your time? These people come here with, with the immigrant mindset. And, if you're not going to take advantage of your free country and the time you have, then they will. And
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's all good, but all these people need a place to live, and we're not going to have the inventory to house them. So another thing you're probably going to see, just one last thing for the prediction side, is 2024 is obviously an election year in the States, and there's going to be a lot more like hardline campaigning for Prime Minister in Canada 2024. So you're probably going to see a lot of like pandering, recycled policies. We've already seen it, Krista Freeland came out on her high horse there after the last rate announcement and said, we're going to spend billions of dollars for Canadians and help build more houses and streamline multifamily rezoning applications. And basically we're going to mandate that you can now build a 4-unit house on a R1 zoned lot. It's like, okay, it's not going to happen immediately. Like nothing happens overnight. It's probably going to take 10 years. And by the time that happens, there's going to be 2 other prime ministers in place. It ain't happening. You can vote on it as much, like the mayor of City of Winnipeg voted on it with a bunch of councillors that they have to blanket rezone and essentially allow 4 units on a single family lot in Winnipeg. So you can imagine living in a 600 square foot bungalow in Elmwood and looking up at a 4-unit building next door.
Right.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's taken years and years for them to develop infill policies, infill guidelines. Like so this is what we're probably going to see a lot more of, are these recycled ideas that, just to grandstand and make themselves get more votes.
Mm-hmm.
But we're probably not going to see a lot of it come to fruition. Like the latest thing was the housing minister. He's like, oh, we're going to have a wartime policy, wartime response. The cities are going to be mandated to come up with a catalog of new homes that will be pre-approved for construction. I was like, okay, like it's not going to happen overnight. So like, I don't know. I just think it's political pandering. We're probably going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to read between the tea leaves kind of thing. But yeah, I think that ends it for me.
Sure.
But obviously you don't have a crystal ball. I have to put the disclaimer on that, but it's just, it's my opinion, is what I think is coming. And it is based on some experience. And, do
you have any goals for the new year?
Personal goals, I have like health and fitness goals, more traveling. Definitely, like I want to experience more cultures and see more parts of the world. Yeah, business goals. I would say it's not necessarily a monetary goal. I want to drill down more, and like we talked about before with the personal relationships, I feel like over the last, like prior to 2023, I've been a person that is spread very thin across, working with different builders and working with different developers. And I think my mission for 2023 my goal is to focus on drilling deeper, drilling down on a handful of them. And I think it's going to yield more opportunity, building deeper relationships with clients and but also networking. I don't want to grow the team anymore. I just want to, personally, I want to become a better team leader, and I want to deepen those relationships with you guys as well on the team, provide more opportunity, and just, have a lot of fun. And I want to go to more shows. So I think I've got like 6 shows lined up already for 2024. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, all my money is going to be spent on going to concerts. So if you see Instagram videos of Rhett and I at metal shows, we're okay. We're not in the mosh pit. We don't worship Satan. We love heavy music. So
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, we haven't picked a number for our hiking goal for next year yet, but we are, wanting to spend more time outside. It's part of our health goal is to spend more time outside and
That's awesome.
and stuff like that. But for business, I'm hoping to help more families. I just want to help more families. I haven't put a number on that. Obviously, it's so hard to do that, right? Like, I know when we're doing our business plan, we're supposed to like, oh, how many transactions do you want to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to help more families, and whether they're
sorry to interject. I was just going to say, I think that's one thing that kind of sets us apart a little bit is like as a team or as realtors from maybe other agents in the industry.
Yeah.
We're not transactional. Like I don't look at my clients as transactions. I don't look at my numbers and like, okay, I did this X amount of transactions this year. Next year, I want to do the X amount. It's like, how many more people can we service and help?
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. And, but yeah, I digress.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't translate to transactions. Sometimes that translates to what's best for the client, right? And sometimes that isn't, I have a lot of people that come to us asking us about downsizing, and I talk them into staying in their house.
Yeah. That happens to me more often than not too. Like I'll get a call to go and do a home evaluation.
Yeah.
And then I talk them up about I talk up their house so much that they're like,
and I might stay here.
Stay here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, sometimes I'm like, it might not make sense. Like for what you want to move into, like you already have like a really great place, and it might be worth just spending, a little bit of money per month to hire someone instead of moving into a condo, right? Like, yeah. So it is about helping people. It's not about transacting. So, but yeah, I want to do more this year of that, and more getting outside. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to going camping and like exploring more of Manitoba.
Yeah.
But I would say one of my goals for 2024 is going to Europe with Tara.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I want to maybe in the fall. Not sure exactly when.
Yeah.
But January 4th until the 9th, Tara and I are going to Vancouver, just to go on we need like a mental health getaway.
Yeah.
Just like a, and I feel like it'll be a nice refresher, come back, into potentially a crazy real estate market, and I'll be ready to rock and roll again.
Be ready to go. Yeah. Yeah. We want to do more hiking, and we like to always get to Canmore throughout the year at least once. But our big travel goal for the year is to make it out to California, because his aunties are both aging. One's already 90 and the other one's just behind her. So we'd like to see them. We haven't seen them in almost 10 years.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into business of the week. Just give some flowers to a couple local businesses. I'll go first.
Sure.
I probably have shouted them out before, but I want to shout out Element Wine at the Forks. I just big wino, and I'm not an alcoholic, don't be worried, but I love natural wine. And they carry, I would argue, the best selection of natural wine. And natural wine is just natural fermentation. There's no like extra crap in there. So a lot of funky wines, which I really like. I love like the wines with a lot of character. So that's probably my favorite store to go to. I go in there, I'm like kid in a candy shop, and end up spending way too much money. So yeah, Element Wine. And then I want to shout out Elmwood Auto Service. They're a local automotive shop, mechanic on Talbot.
Yeah.
And Tyson has been taking his car there last little while. I took my car there as well. And oh man, the service there is insanely good. Their prices are really, really good. We've been taking like our vehicles to Frank's on Notre Dame, and they're also very good. The only reason why we have been taking our stuff there is because Tara has a Mercedes, and they specialize in European. And so I've just naturally like tagged along and brought my car there as well. But I have a Honda, and so you can kind of take that anywhere, I guess. So after Tyson's good experiences there, I started taking it there too. And they're honest, super quick, and really affordable. And like, you don't have to wait like weeks to get in if you need something fixed. And I don't know what the guy's name. I think it's Ryan, maybe. He's like the front desk guy.
Oh yeah.
But very friendly, really nice guy. So got to shout them out. I don't know if it's like a family-owned company, or I don't really know the whole story, but I know that they're excellent.
They're taking care of you. That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's it for me.
Awesome. I have two. I have High Tea Bakery. We like to pick up a little bit of Christmas baking, and they always have the prettiest cookies. So picked up some stuff for Christmas there. And Central Products and Foods, which is sausage makers, as most people know it by, on Nairn. I shop there quite a bit, but recently we had a couple of dealings where we did a fundraiser for the scholarship fund that I am a part of, for the Camille Jones Parsons Scholarship. And we raised $500 so that's one full scholarship for someone.
Nice.
So they did pierogies and sausage, and it was a great fundraiser. They've been awesome to deal with. They also, that's where we bought all the ground beef that we put in the Christmas hampers.
Nice.
Yeah. And they, packaged it all up nicely for us so that we could have it in 1 pound packages for deliveries.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there before too, and they also have like really amazing like European pickles and sauerkraut there.
So many things, yeah.
I'm a pickle head big time, and I love sauerkraut, and Yeah. Again, that it's stores like that are dangerous for me. Like
Yeah.
wine, if anybody's trying to like woo me or like lure me somewhere, pickles, sauerkraut, hot sauce, and
Tacos.
natural wine. Yeah, I will do it. I'll be at your beck and call.
Yeah.
Do anything you want. Yeah. But no, that's a great place. I like going in there too.
Yeah.
I like going into those old school like butcher shops and coming out smelling like you were cutting meat all day.
I know. The day that we were doing hamper deliveries,
Yeah.
me and Fred had to stop to pick up the hamburger, and we were standing in there for a while waiting for them to get it all ready for us to take.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna smell like sausage all day.
Yeah. It'd be like having cats and dogs following you on the street.
Yeah.
Get away.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's it, eh?
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that was great.
Yeah. So have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody, and see you in the new year.
Peace out. Yeah, we'll see you guys see you guys next year, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
have a good Christmas, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and
do all the YouTube things. Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.